Is it worth having golf lessons? Is it worth having golf lessons and going through all the effort of changing your golf swing to make your golf better? Now, this discussion has come up a few times recently where some of my clients have been asked that same question by their friends. And largely, yes, it is worth getting golf lessons. It is worth improving your game and trying to get yourself to the next level. Or if you've got a problem in your game and you want to get rid of that problem, you can go for golf lessons to get rid of that problem. However, if your swing's a bit different, a bit unorthodox, or you do something in your swing that makes the ball go offline, and you make your technique better to get your ball flight better, are you moving in a direction that makes your handicap better or improves your game enough to make you shoot lower scores? Because there is a little bit of a twist to the tail on this. If someone on the golf course stands there with a certain club and plays a certain shot and has a certain ability and a certain skill level, and they have average technique and sometimes goes wrong, sometimes goes okay, but they get their technique better and they get their best shot more often, for example, but that golfer stands there and chooses the same club and chooses the same shot to play, but ultimately shoots the same score. Was it worth all that time and effort to make your ball striking and ball flight better, but to go out and have the same number on the scorecard? The aim of the game in golf is to get the ball in the hole in the fewest shots possible, and that needs to underlie every single decision you make with your golf if you want to improve. Now, in one hand, you've got technique and what your technique puts through the ball to create shots with. And then you've got strategy, which is the decisions you make and the clubs you select for those decisions to get the ball in a certain place on the course and angle yourself into the pin to get into it in less shots. If you get your technique in really good shape, but you make the same decisions, you might get a little bit of improvement. But what we don't want to do is put a load of time, effort and money into something that ultimately you kind of get the same results. You kind of like stay at the same baseline skill level. Like once you get rid of a problem, like where are you losing more shots on the golf course? Is it putting? Is it short game? Is it how often you hit the green? Is it how often you hit the fairway? Now you're going to shave a few shots off your score, but like a 27 handicapper that gets lessons, they're going to save a load of shots and they might get down to like 18 because the problems they had were squeezing them up to 27, but actually their ability in their best day is around about 18, so they get to that, but they hit a barrier. And to get through that barrier into the next level of golf, into the next level of their game, to get you working towards single figures, for example, in that scenario, we need to be able to hit different shots and we need to be able to find new areas of the golf course. Now, the structure that I sort of work with when I'm working with clients, when I'm working with people to make their game better, I want to help them get through the ball more consistently. If you get good pace through the ball, you're going to get more consistent yardages. If I go out one day and I feel like I'm swinging at 60%, because 60% is nice and achievable, but I go out with that 60% swing and it's nice and I get the ball towards the hole, I can only really do a certain amount of, I can only put a certain amount of energy through the golf ball. But on a good day, that 60% might just get up to 80%. And then the ball's going further than it was the day before because I'm a little bit more confident on this day. And then we get up on the other side of the bed on another day on the golf course and that 60% becomes 40 because I'm being careful on it. And then I'm hitting completely different shots because I'm kind of not committing to the ball. So I want to get people working at 95% of their capacity to get through the ball, to launch the ball and get it flying almost as far as you can within reason. But my last few shots there are 124, 154 and 64. I've got three completely different yardages, and let's say that the technique was exactly the same. My effort has produced three different yardages, which is a problem. I see three layers to the golf swing. Now the top layer is aggressive. Now being aggressive through the golf ball can sometimes make you lose balance and have more variance. The second level that I want everyone to try and live in is assertive. Get through that golf ball, get it towards the target and don't hold back. If we go into aggressive, we start losing balance and we start getting thrown off the ball a little bit. But where I don't want anyone to be ever is complacent. If you have a yardage that you could get an 8 iron to that yardage, but you select a 6-iron out of your golf bag, you get that 6-iron out and you have to not commit and you have to hold back on that shot to try and get it to work, and sometimes it will work. But largely you open the doors to more variance and more bad shots because you didn't commit to it, because you didn't quite get through the ball. I would rather get through an 8-iron, get it all the way up there and miss it left and right. At least I know my yardages are working nicely. So whatever you do with your technique, whatever you do with lessons, whatever you do with all the angles that you create, or whatever you do through the ball, get that ball through to the target. And if you start having a tendency to be left or a tendency to be right, that's when technique comes in and just adjusts it a little bit. But at least you've got a nice healthy ball flight to manipulate. And if you miss left, if you miss right, the best way to narrow down your direction is if a golfer has a spread where they hit shots right and they hit shots left, we can't go bang, let's hit it straight now. But what we can do is we can eliminate one side of the golf course and get everything leaning over to the left. I prefer left because it's faster through the ball and more active through the ball to create that left shot. When we go to the right, we tend to be suppressed and held off and sort of like not as healthy. So wide miss, get it going over to the left hand side, and then we do things like grip size, we do things like how you hold the grip, we do things that manipulate the face just to get the ball back on target. Wide, left, straight, not wide, straight. And then once we're getting through the ball more consistently, once we get the effort levels nice and consistent, or more consistent, shall we say. We're not always going to do the same thing every time because it's golf. But once we get that energy level through the golf ball and that effort level more consistent, more at the top end of your capacity, we then get more consistent yardages. We then get something that's a bit more predictable. And when we get predictable, we can do things like know how far the ball's going to go. Like I know the carry on this club is 145 on average. It's going to vary up and down from that. But because I get through the golf ball, I can predict it's going to be there or thereabouts. Hot day, cold day, it's going to vary. You know, the conditions are going to change it a little bit, but I've got a benchmark number to play with and work from. And then say I've got 2 clubs and one club's going to go past the pin and one club's going to go short of the pin. If I'm playing full time, I might get the club that's short of the pin a little bit more and get it to try and get closer. But generally, I just want to hit my stock swing. I want to get my ball going that far, and I will purposely be short of the pin. Or with the other club, I will purposely be past the pin. Because later on, I'll have a yardage that is actually much closer to one of those 2 clubs. And if I've already hit a shot that's done that yardage, where say I've got 150 to the pin, but I hit it 145, later on I might have 146 to a pin and go, that's going to be a lot closer. I've already hit it 145 today. I've got more confidence on that shot. So yes, we get lessons, we look at technique, but I need to get through the ball. I need to create a shot. And then when I create that shot more consistently, we might use technique to manipulate it left, right, up and down. But generally, if we're getting through the ball, we've got something to work with, got something to strategically get round the golf course and use. And then we can break a hole down. So I've got a hole here that's 399 yards. It goes along and it doglegs left a little bit. I want to try and leave myself about 120 in. So I need to hit it 280. Your numbers will be different, my numbers will be different, everyone's numbers will be different, but I'm going to work with what I've already got as a framework from coaching, getting energy through the ball and getting the ball launching up there. And then I'm strategically going to hit a 3-wood on this one to try and get my next shot in an area that I have rehearsed, that I have practiced. One thing I didn't do there is account for the uphill nature of that fairway. But it didn't go to plan. No problem, I've got a different club for that purpose. So I've got 138 to the pin. I'm a little bit downhill, which is cool. The pin is right at the front. There's a big square green here. It's a bit of a weird one, but the pin's right at the front. I don't mind going slightly past this pin. But even though I've hit a bad shot off the tee there, I've now got a bit more information and I'm a bit more ready to hit this next shot. And I do that one. Yardage wise, I'm just past the pin. Lovely. And then as I go along, I need to make mistakes. So once I make mistakes, I'm then adjusting. I'm then learning. I've got a tendency to go left. So left, left, left. And then I have a lesson. I look at my technique and I see if I can do something that will just bring the ball flight to the right-hand side. But at least I've got a benchmark, something to work with. Where is your golf? Where are you trying to get to? And how are you going to get there? Are you looking to correct a problem? Are you looking to just get that out of your game? Then you might need a couple of lessons just to get rid of that one little habit. or one little tendency that you have. If your handicap's a certain number and you want it to be much lower, we need to get yourself into a game that makes those scores happen. We need to potentially hit the ball a bit further. That's not always necessary, but I want to get you to the top end of your speed so you can play and improve in the best way possible. If you're playing golf being too careful and trying to protect it, you haven't got as much good stuff to work with and improve on. And we can attack it from all angles. We can attack it from putting. What is your putting technique? Is there lessons that you can get in that area? Chipping technique. Is there lessons you can get in that area that would save you a lot of shots on your scorecard? Consistency of distance with each club in your bag. Do you know how far it goes? Do you produce that distance as consistently as possible? Or could that get tidied up with a concept like what I've described earlier? And then driving. Are you hitting your targets? Are you getting the direction right? Are you getting as much distance as you possibly could? Or is it suppressed and held back? I've seen a lot of people go for coaching and then they go, okay, right, coaching, I've got to put this here, I've got to put that there, I've got to put that there, and this has got to be here, and this wrist got to do that, and that's got to do that. But then they get so stuck in all the things they're trying to do, they forget to actually get through the ball and hit it towards a target. That is the ultimate thing we're trying to do, apart from get it in there in less shots. But what's your experience? What have you done? What have you found from coaching? What do you want to find from coaching? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Because as a community on the YouTube channel, we all want to get better, and maybe some ideas in there can help others. But in the meantime, I'll see you on the next video. Play your best golf.